I want to thank our sponsor, Spring Made, who create amazing watch straps designed as a tool for people who need it. Their proprietary buckle uses friction instead of holes, which securely grips the strap material, allows for infinite adjustments, and ensures you will get the perfect fit every time. They have a wide range of colours that all look great on their new Mesa buckle, which includes chamfered keeper rings for an upgraded matching look. Head to their website at springmadeshop.com to check out all their classic, deluxe and ribbed straps along with all their other quality products. You can also follow them on Instagram at spring_made_shop. Thank you and enjoy. So what did you do after your time in the RAF?
So writing was on the wall that a posting was coming. My family are all settled here in Yorkshire, and I wanted to stay, but didn't think that I could hang out any longer on a 100 Squadron. So the only option was then to think about leaving. I didn't want to be the bad smell, hang around, and being, that guy. So I decided to join Jet 2 just before the pandemic. Left in late 2019 and joined Jet 2 down at Leeds. Obviously, the best job I've ever had was being furloughed for 2 years. So they were brilliant paying me, and I could claim a small Air Force pension. With my pension and my Jet 2 reduced pay, but I was on pretty much what I was on in the Air Force, just drinking gin in my garden.
Not bad, is it?
It's not bad. I mean, crazy times really. Absolutely. And then flew for a couple of seasons with Jet 2, and the company is the company. It was as you'd expect, and I wanted it for stability of lifestyle. To really put down some roots in here. In this area, rather than being posted around and doing the Air Force kind of stuff. So I knew the flying was going to be what it was. I was not really anticipating as many weekends and then landing at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. It was what it was, and the opportunity came. One of my friends, Ollie, left just with his timing, left and came straight to Draken, and he called me up saying, thought about this gig, and didn't really know much about it. So we're here at Draken. If you've been in the Air Force for the last 25 years, you'll know the Falcon 20, providing red air and EW training, comms jamming. And then this is the stablemate to it, the new aircraft under the IRAT. So you might have heard of ASDOT if you've been around in the Air Force a little bit. So ASDOT was the program when I was still in. It was banging around probably 2017 for civilianizing a red air company like this. No bid succeeded with that, so the IRATs, that's the Interim Red Air Aggressor Training program, started up, and then Draken taken on board. Obviously with Draken International out in America, got these aircraft from Draken International, and we're operating as Draken Europe. Excuse me for that. So this is the L-159, it's the E for export. Obviously a military aircraft that's been demilitarized. We can't obviously drop anything with it. It's on what we call the G reg, so completely in accordance with the CAA, and the amount of work to do this has just been phenomenal. I joined, I think I just nailed it timing wise. The amount of work to get this set up and run, just all the paperwork, logistics, infrastructure, everything. It's just been phenomenal. Like, all our documents and books and manuals are just perfect, professional. The company's done a brilliant amount. So I waited till all of that hard work was out of the way, and then I joined the company.
So you knew you were going to go onto the Badger. You didn't fancy going onto the Falcon as such?
I came here for the Badger job. The Falcon, I didn't know when I was leaving the Air Force the future of that, and obviously Jet 2 was. the easy choice, you know. And now it is a bit of a risk joining programs like this, because they're ongoing, kind of, you know, they repeat every few years, and there is that risk. But you can see the infrastructure, and now I'm this side. This isn't really going anywhere. Like, it's too big,
yeah, absolutely.
And the amount of work everyone's done to get this going has just been phenomenal. So yeah, it's a really professional, really well set up place. You know, as you can see, it's nice and clean
Absolutely.
and tidy.
Spotless, I can say that for sure. But can you talk us through some of your ground and flying training on the Honey Badger?
Yeah, it's not much. Obviously, you need to be an experienced jet guy to come on board. The aircraft, you pretty much what you see is what you get. It's a simple aircraft. There's not a huge amount to it, and because it was so successful as the initial variants like the Albatross, and they've just built on that. So what works, and they've just continually built it up. So I think it was designed in about year 2000, so they've stolen a load of stuff and put it on like an airframe that works. So yeah, you know, the inside looks like an F-16, like a mini F-16. The radar is designed on the F-16 radar, but it's the Griffo made by Leonardo. You know, everything's there. There are some foibles that just don't quite go, that you'd like just a few hours with the design spec, but you know, that's all lost, and what we've got is pretty much what we've got. So we just like to tweak a few things, but for what it does, again, like we had in 100 Squadron, that cheaper threat, you know, this is like, if the Typhoons are like F1 cars and have F1 price tags of running costs, this is like a touring car, you know. It gets up, you can batter it round a little bit, it's cheaper to run, but they always say it's more reliable, you know. You put petrol in it, it goes, and it's brilliant. You know, from my experience with the F3, which is a generation before, you know, the radars on these, they work. Every time, you know, I haven't had one. I mean, they worked on the F3 obviously, but F3, once, twice a month you'd have a dead nose, and on this, you know, the radar's just up and going. It's just a nice little easy jet, you know.
So its biggest strength is just you can just get ready and get in and go kind of thing.
Yeah. Obviously, from our side, it's great, you know. It's a nice little aeroplane. From the F-35 and Typhoon side, what they see, you know, what they get, I think they're being polite, you know, when they say, yeah, did a good job, but limitations are its speed. Obviously, you know, that's the airframe. If we had a faster aircraft, you know, and present a target that's going 1.5, that comes at a very, you know, a higher cost. Your scales of magnitude increase then, don't they? But this is what we've got, and it's a very good job. So it's the best of both worlds, of being in the military and then being a civvy. You know, we've got an ops department that kind of is run like a civvy. So when you're off, you're off. You know, you've got, you're never on call. I don't have to sign for empty orders and all the stuff you do in the military. You know, I turn up and fly, and the whole company is focused on that. You know, I'll give you, you know, only people in the Air Force will get this, but you know, when you go into the Air Force, you know, you kind of, you know, you're a pilot, sort of, we'll treat you as just another sort of guy. First day in the company, I had to do a health and safety kind of course. They stopped everything just so me, like for day one pilot, could jump on this course as a last minute addition, and they were like, no, he's a Honey Badger pilot, like, you know, he's going to be really busy. And the whole everyone in the company is like, you know, these guys do that, and you feel really well supported. Yeah, it's nice.
Absolutely. And for the av geeks amongst us, it looks like it was a two-seater, wasn't it? But it looks like it's been blocked off.
So The Albatross, so the L-159, I think, started off as a two-seat trainer in the 60s built by the Czech Republic, and that's what the airframe was based off. Then we got the Super Albatross, which is the L-59, which weaponized that and changed it slightly. And then this is the L-159, so the advancement on Super Albatross, and I think that it was the 60s, let's say 70s, but I think this was 2000 or so it started to be built for the Czechs, and they built I don't know, maybe 100. Please Wikipedia this. This is just my knowledge. And they received some, and then I think they pulled out. So Draken International were setting up, you know, what Draken have done over there, and then just grabbed a load. So they've actually been to America, all these jets, and then they've come back. So weirdly, they've gone to America and back. So weirdly, we kind of have to go through America, all the paperwork stuff. So don't ask me. Like I say, I'm so glad I wasn't here at the start to set this up, but it sounds like an absolute nightmare. So this is the E model. They are generally all single seat. If you Google L-159, you'll see the rear cockpit. I don't know what's in shot, maybe that one. Yep, you can see so that, the rear cockpit, we've got it enclosed, and but the original L-159 had it as glass cockpit and like a shielding on the back, but we felt for fatigue, I think, and then just repairing the glass if it ever breaks, to just put that over and just put a metal shroud over the back cockpit. But yeah, all ours are single seat. So you asked about training, ground school for a week, learning about, you know, all the systems that we've got, and then we go out to the sim for 8 or 10 sims, I can't remember, but very gentlemanly. You know, we all know what we're doing. The instructors amongst the cadre are, you know, really strong and just let you crack on. But yeah, sometimes it feels a little bit weird that we're here flying a military aircraft, but it's a civilian aircraft. We're civilian pilots officially, but we're all military pilots. We work from a civilian base, but we operate in a military danger area. Yeah. And I don't know.
Absolutely. Yeah. You probably have many, Rich, but can you maybe share a couple of memorable stories from your time flying the Honey Badger?
Well, like I say, I've only been on it 4 or 5 months, so every day is a learning day. It's a great little gang that we've got here of the Falcon. Like, we work hand in glove with the Falcons. We brief together, we debrief together. You know, coming from the 737-800, which was with Jet 2, and I was hanging up my spurs, you know, going to that world, and then, you know, you just see the sun sort of set and give yourself a twinkle roll and go, oh, this feels good. Just the other day, I was night flying, and I was on the same radio frequency as I was on Newcastle's radio frequency, and I heard all the Chanex call signs, which is Jet 2. Coming back, I was like, oh, you've had a long day, guys. Like, I'm running out of fuel here. Like, I've got to go home for a cup of tea.
You're knackered.
Yeah, we've been flying for an hour.
So yeah, it sounds like it's a great place to work for and a great jet to fly as well.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Well, welcome to Draken. Just to complete the tour, I'll show you around a Honey Badger. Starting from the front, the radar. The radar's a Griffo L. It's designed on the APG-68 on the original F-16. You can see by its size, you know, when you think the F-3 was, you know, all of those ergs. I think it's a great little radar for its size, and obviously just limited, but we'll get. It goes out to 80 miles, so we'll get the tanker, for instance, big aircraft out, all the way out to 80 miles easily, and obviously stepping down the ranges depending on radar cross-section. Going forward, obviously the cockpit. These things, some people might think these are a bit weird, But this is a great total Eastern European sort of Russian safety thing. You'll see some more on the wings. So when the gear comes down, we've obviously got indications in cockpit, but also those pop up, just in case we have an electrical failure, which I think is actually a great little safety kind of thing. Obviously the air intakes are the shoulder mounted, and the engine is it's an F-124, I think, which is a great engine. It's what the Ardor was in the 70s. The Honeywell F-124 is now. It's just on all the aircraft that are this type and vintage, you know, and the ships as well. We talked about the canopies. That one's a dud. That one's obviously the live one. The furniture's rocket propelled, and we'll show you around the cockpit later. We've got tanks. These are 350 litre tanks. We do have 500, and we're just kind of seeing whether it's worth putting the big ones on now or not, whether it's more drag but you get more fuel, or do you just have these and a little bit less drag. The wing is the major limitation. It's quite a thick wing, obviously, for what it was designed to do, from pretty much the original L-39 Albatross. You know, the slow speed, stall characteristics of a training aircraft. We don't need it, and it is just a lot to push through. It's a dry wing as well. There's no fuel in there, but there is fuel in the tip tanks, and you've got RHWR receivers at the end, front and back of these. We've got obviously the barber's pole for the undercarriage there. Here the barber pole comes up for the flaps as well, so you get flap indication. And that's pretty much it. Here's the back of the aircraft. The cockpit, if I just move those for the ejection seats, obviously the stick there's based on the F-16. Everything's sort of HOTAS. There's a few disconnects with how you operate your radar, but it's all there. The throttle's quite busy down here. It's on a rail that just goes, throttle, sorry, let's redo that.
No problem, yeah.
Friction thing's on. You ready?
Yep.
So here's the cockpit. Obviously front and center, you've got the stick. It's HOTAS. All the switches there you need to operate the radar and radio. It's based on the F-16 system. The throttle's down here. It's on a rail that goes up and down, and it's got air brakes, your radar, antenna going up and down, different radar modes, and your radio. If we were firing Maverick, which, you know, is some more switches on here that obviously we don't carry, being a civilian aircraft. You've got two MFDs. Everything can be displayed on both of these equally, so we can have flip-flop, go around wherever. Generally we fly with the radar up on this page and HSI up on the other. And here's your HUD and upfront control panel. Everything generally gets punched into the aircraft using the upfront control panel, then we can enter it into the MFDs, including radios and avionics. So what you might see and be familiar with is something like that, which is a traditional looking radio panel, but we don't actually put in radio frequencies there. We just all put it through the upfront control panel and then into the one of the MFDs. What else can I say? The ejection seat is a little bit different, a little bit awkward to get into, but it's a full 0-0 ejection seat. When you're sitting in, you have a slight limitation on what you can see out the back, so it's not like a Typhoon where you can reach, you know, all the way around and look at the tails. You have this thing kind of in the way and a massive head box that gets a little bit annoying. But just don't be defensive. got into pit specials by accident. My University Air Squadron, they ran a competition of who the best Aeros pilot was, and then a guy called Alan Cassidy, who was really big in aerobatics. He's like being the British champion, takes part all over the world in all these aerobatic competitions. So he gave me a few hours in his pit special.
Nice.
And then when you join the Air Force, you'll never be as rich as when you're like a flying officer coming from a student. You have no outgoings, so the car parks just fill up full of Porsches and stuff like that. So I bought myself a pit special.
As you do.
As you do. And it was a time when, well, I was actually still at IOT. The task that we were given was an office simulation task. So I was meant to be working in an office, organising the netball team's uniforms. I remember this so well. So I was doing that for my day job, just doing this ground-based exercise, classroom kind of exercise. And then I was going home to my room at Cranwell at night and organising like shipping and, you know, crating up and all the taxis to get this pit special dismantled in America and brought over and rebuilt over here. So I don't know, it was just a different time in your life. So I bought this little pit and flew it for a little while just for fun. I didn't really take part in any competitions because, you know, the Air Force sort of took over, and it was like, well, what would my boss say if I didn't turn up on a Monday morning because the weather closed in when I was the other side of the country. Yeah. So didn't really sort of take it up, but I was up in Lucas and Jill and Berry Vistas, I don't know if you know them from Squadron Prince, the utter legends that they are. They were organising the Perth Air Show, and they were like, Parge, you know, we need you to become an act, and not thinking that I was any good, you know, because I hadn't won the British Championship or anything. But, you know, I put some noise down, got my display authority, and that's all sort of people want. And then it grew and grew, and all of a sudden I'm displaying at RIAT, and I was displaying between the F-22 and the Red Arrows that year in 2010. And as I took off, I saw like 100,000 people just turn around and go to the toilets. And as I landed, they all turned around and back. So I don't know, it's a funny one how many people I actually displayed to. I think, you know, some kid maybe have watched me or not, I don't know. But
still very cool.
It was cool, you know. And I don't know, it was a different time in my life. And hats off to the Red Arrows. Like, I did it for 5 years, probably 4 years.
Quite long,
was about right. But I was based up in Scotland, so it wasn't every week. But you know, your hunger for it, life takes over. So I think the Red Arrow tour about 3 years, you know, keeps you going. And you know, I was interested in the Reds at one time, but I had a sneak peek into that world.
Yeah.
And yeah, hats off to them. You know, they do an amazing job. And obviously, it's not the flying. You know, it's giving up everything, and they do it. They do it so well. I took a sneak peek in my little pits, and it was good fun. But I'm, you know, parked that side of life, sold the aeroplane, and yeah, haven't looked back really.
Brilliant stuff. So we've got a couple of personal questions to wrap up here, Rich. So do you have any hobbies?
Yeah, you know, everyone does. So I ride horses. I ride most days. Kite surf out in the North Sea, and getting back into my shooting as well. So yeah, I keep myself busy.
Absolutely. Favourite aircraft you have flown?
Oh, pit special.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, your own pit special. Followed by, I don't know, probably if I could have any jet, you know, going, it'd be a Little Hawk. You know, it's nice and simple, and you've always got a space in the boot for take your kids on holiday or something. You know, it'd be nice to do. But yeah, it's good.
One you would like to fly, either past or present?
Oof. You know, again, who wouldn't want to fly a Spitfire? You know, that world. Actually, my favourite of those warbirds would be a Corsair. But again, you know, with that little peek into that world, without being able to afford to just buy one and fly it myself, You know, it's a huge commitment, and I think you've got to honour that commitment as well. So it's almost golden handcuffs, if you know what I mean. And I don't know, I'd love to, of course I'd love to. But my family are huge to me, you know, like, and I've got this dream, if I won the lottery, a glass air sportsman.
I don't even know what that is.
So, you can, one of my friends from the display world and going around, he's got a float plane, a Cessna 182.
Okay.
His name's Hamish. Anyway, on Facebook, one weekend he's flown like 10 miles out to sea and landed on a calm sea, and he's deep sea fishing, just sat on a float. Yeah. And then the next weekend he'll land on the Lake District and tie his plane up, you know, on the pier and be in his bow tie taking a selfie of him in a, you know, posh hotel with his, and I don't care what speedboat you've got, you know, there's a plane tied up to a dock and you're just like, that trumps everything. You know. And the next weekend he'll go wild camping, you know, in one of the nameless locks up in north of Scotland, you know, and just tie it to a tree and do some camping. Like, that's
a life, isn't it?
That's kind of what I've got my eye on. Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Brilliant stuff. But can we find Draken online anywhere? Instagram, Facebook, anything like that?
Yeah, hopefully everywhere. I'm not your guy if you just Google Draken. Obviously, I know there are a couple of pilot jobs going, there's engineering jobs going, there's a whole list of stuff where you can come join the team. Hopefully, you know, you've had an insight into what it is. You know, it's not working out of a porter cabin at the side of an airfield. So it's a little bit more than that. So yeah, hopefully that gives you, you know, you find the website and it gives you an insight on what we do and what providing red air for the Air Force is.
Brilliant stuff. Well, everything will be linked in the description below, guys. But Rich, thank you very much for coming on the show.
You're very welcome.